Hey there, have you heard all the buzz around the term fasting and wondered whether or not it is something that you should be trying and whether or not it would be beneficial on your wellness journey? Let's talk about it. Okay, so let's first break down fasting. Fasting to me is abstaining from food anytime within a 24-hour period. So it's basically caloric restriction in my brain. Maybe you see it differently, but that's kind of how I see it. To me, I like to use the term gut rest. And perhaps it's just a matter of semantics, but here in my nutrition practice, we use the term gut rest and we like to honor the natural daytime and nighttime cycle and follow our circadian clock. The science clearly shows that following day and night eating patterns is best when it comes to eliminating weight, eliminating inflammation, and eliminating the risk of chronic disease. And there is a famous study called the shift worker study where they gave people the same amount of calories and they had some people eating during the daytime hours and some during the nighttime hours. And clearly those that ate during nighttime hours had worse health outcomes than those that ate just during the daytime hours. And so that's kind of my case for why I prefer the term gut rest. The other thing is that gut rest honors the circadian clock, and we know that following our metabolic rhythm is better in terms of our glucose and lipid usage, which is affected by day and night cycles. Our peripheral tissue has a hand at carbohydrate absorption, insulin sensitivity, and insulin secretion. And the same bowl of oatmeal that you eat at 8 in the morning is going to be absorbed and digested much differently than if you ate that same bowl of oatmeal at 8 o'clock at night. And the reason for that is that cortisol levels are highest in the morning upon waking in order to propel you to get your day going. And when cortisol is higher, carbohydrate absorption is higher. So it's little things like that that do impact the way that we metabolize certain nutrients, and that's another feather in the cap for gut rest over fasting. The other thing is that as we improve our gut rest, whatever that is for you, and everybody has a different starting point, I will say that the research shows that between 12 and 17 hours is a great place to be in terms of overall wellness. So that may mean that you stop eating at 7 p.m. and you start at 7 a.m. and that's the 12 hours. Or if you notice that that's working good and you want to go to 13 hours, then that's great. If you go to 14 hours and you're starving, then that's not great for you. Go back to 13 or 12 hours. There is no right or wrong way because everything is very individualized based on your goals, your health, and your hunger. So that's first and foremost. What I will say is that as we get better at gut rest overnight, our body has better and more efficiency between switching between glucose metabolism and fat oxidation, using your body's own fat as fuel. It has an easier time switching fuel sources back and forth. Another thing that happens is that we activate a complex called AMPK, which increases enzymes that give us more energy and increase a little bit of our metabolism, give us a metabolic spike. And that happens because we start to initiate autophagy, which is spring cleaning, as I like to think of it, at the cellular level. We start to get rid of cellular debris and cellular proteins that are just hanging around, taking up space. But we cannot do those spring cleaning functions if we're constantly eating and our body is constantly metabolizing. So giving your gut time to rest is great from a metabolic standpoint and all of these physical things that are happening. Another positive thing that happens is that your gut microbiome can repopulate because it's not having to digest and ferment and work on getting rid of what you've eaten because there's nothing to work on. So there's a little bit more procreation happening down there. So for what that's worth, I hope that you think about it in that way and try and have your gut rest be over the nighttime hours. I know a lot of women will skip through breakfast, and I guess that can be fine. But you want to try and curtail your eating when it becomes dark outside, which is a lot more challenging going into the winter months. And so one thing that I would say that can be helpful is to have the lights bright when you're eating and start to dim the lights when you're done eating so your body can be signaled to start going into rest and digest mode hours before you go to bed. So I hope that that's helpful. If you have any specific questions, feel free to reach out to me. Bye-bye.